Who's ready to roll it up?
Yeah, I don't remember things.
Remember things.
Well, mine didn't go through, but it ended on a 1, so I'll take that. Let's see what.
I blame Io.
Okay, that one's a 50, but my first one was technically 1. Just did it.
Okay, hold on. I gotta get to a safe place in this game so I can.
We didn't have a D&D session for the entire month of October.
We did not.
We did not. Those are facts.
October was a month.
Things just happen to happen, and
Well, we had come back from the cave and the dragon fight, and we were in the town, and Kane wanted to go to the market to see his dwarf friend, and we found like a pile of ash in the store instead of his dwarf friend, and so that was sad. And then we went to another store, and so I think Jessica found another pile, something that looks like ash. That can I confirm or deny? We heard a dragon flying over. Of course, Io goes out to say hello to the dragon, and that conversation's going well for a change, except the fact that another guy who's fighting the dragon, and Io decides to side with the dragon, but the dragon dies because the entity or whatever the other being was apparently had one of the swords that could kill dragons in like one stab. So the dragon died, and then Io tried to avenge his dragon friend and take the sword away. They're really strong dude, and it didn't go out so well because he tried to grab our hands, and Io just got hit. Was hurt pretty bad. And then Io decides to try to disarm the guy with an attack. I don't know exactly what everybody else is doing. They were just staying around hoping not to die. And the sword goes flying through the air after like a disarming attack, and then Can picks up the sword and kills the guy with the sword because Can's awesome. That's pretty much where we left off. We killed the guy, Can had the sword, and a bunch of dragons all flying toward us. So I'm sure they'll be happy to know that we avenged their dragon, killed the guy who killed the dragon. So it's all going to work out because Io knows how to speak dragon. We can talk to them in language and understand.
We're all gonna die.
So yeah, that's pretty much what happened as far as I can remember. I don't know if there's any other details, but it was a while ago. That's the gist of it.
Sounds about accurate. Except for the Jester part. Jester went to the WOTC. There's nobody there. He poured himself many drinks, got sloshed, and passed out.
Oh yeah, just a bit drunk. Yeah.
That sounds about right.
That definitely sounds accurate.
So it's currently night out, and it's raining, as it was in last session. So the rain's pouring down. Kayan is soaked to the bone or to the loincloth, whichever way you wanna put it. He had just slayed this ridiculously powerful, divine-looking being, and is standing over its corpse, holding this onyx blade. This sword that is black on the hilt and black on the blade itself. And as the rain is pouring down on him, Kane looks up and he sees all of these dragons are flying in. Jesse and Io are with him at his back as Kane's kind of looking up at these 8. There's 8 dragons, right? 2, 4, 6, 8. Yep, 8 dragons. So as
you
these,
count the one that's dead too.
well, the silver one's the ones that's dead. That took out a couple of these buildings. That was a white dragon that is dead and lying past Kayan's feet, because Kayan's standing over B, which is the dead dragon.
He was my friend for all of 2 minutes.
Yep.
Yep.
Happens to all of my friends.
So, and that's kind of where we left off. And like I said, Jester is passed out.
He's gonna wake up to find out it was all just a horrible dream.
No, he already woke up from that. That's why he blew up the statue.
Greetings, friends! Grapple the bear! Grab the bear by the... Yes! Follow Io! Follow Io, that's hilarious. What's up, Snoz? Good to see you, buddy. So that's kind of where, painting the scene, where we're at. What does Kayan do?
So I can't remember, I stabbed the guy in the back, right? Or I didn't chop his head off.
No, you had stabbed him in the back and ran him through with the blade.
Yeah, that's right. So with one hand, as they're approaching, as the dragonflight's coming in, I want to grab the being dude by the neck and like hold him up, and then like have the sword like stuck into the ground. It's like trying to look as non-threatening as possible to the incoming dragons. I'm not gonna like go full on defensive stance towards them. I want to hold them up, so when they get close, I want to tell them like, this is the one who killed your friend. I have ended him. Something like that. As soon as like whenever they get into range, or I'm just gonna scream it. Up there, how far away from me? Hundreds of feet.
Yes.
Yeah,
About...
as they When they
About
get
2
about
rounds.
like 50 feet from me, I'm gonna like scream at them. Like,
Okay,
you can
go
scream
on.
what I just said of them, like, of this is the one who killed your friend. I'm holding my speaking action.
Okay. Does Io or Chris do anything as Sif's?
I'm kind of just staring at the entire line of dragons, not really, just like, I mean, it's intimidating.
As the dragons get closer and Kayan starts talking to the dragons or he's screaming at them, Ao just screams too, but he screams and he translates Kayan's words into Draconic in case they don't speak Kayan.
In case I don't speak Can, yeah.
So Ao is Kayan's official translator.
Fuck.
So the dragons get essentially another round goes by, and the dragons are coming closer. They're close enough to hear. There's just this basically armada of all huge gold dragons flying directly towards you guys throughout the rain and through the storm clouds. As they get closer, like instead of just seeing red beady eyes and a dragon's wings through the clouds, now as they approach closer, you can see just the awesome size of these dragons. All 8 of them are ginormous, probably 3 times the size of the buildings in front of you. They're just ridiculously huge, and they're about 1 round away from descending upon where the party is sitting in the market square, around all of the rain and the rubble from the fight with the dragon.
Jesus.
So you
So
can
as
see,
they
yeah, they're probably about 30 feet, 30 to 40 feet up in the air, as they're flying like direct from outside of the city, beelining directly towards the party in the semicircle.
So I'm gonna, from holding up the body and from me and I yelling this, as they get closer, I'm gonna, because the dragon got like knocked back, if I remember correctly, right? Like,
Yeah. Between the fight that was going on, the dragon went through like 2 buildings, and yeah.
So as they get closer, I'm gonna, from holding the guy's neck, toss him, just toss him forward, like not trying to like huck him forward, but like just a 10-foot toss of the corpse, right, pretty much where it says where it's pointing to the prisoner's carnival. I just want to try to toss his corpse over there into the rubble of the buildings for them.
Okay, you do this. You throw it forward, and it lands kind of right where you expect it. And
then I want to hold like the sword, just the sword that killed him, just put it in front of me and have both my hands on top of it. Just waiting, just in case.
blade up or blade down?
Blade down on the ground.
And I'm kind of just standing behind Can. Kind of like, not like literally just right behind him, but kind of like behind, but like a little bit diagonal. Kind of like how it is there. So I kind of feel like I'm behind, kind of like he's kind of talking.
Kayan's a representative.
Because I'm about to pee my pants.
Literally, or
No, not literally. I'm not about to pee my pants right now.
That's too much information.
I was gonna say she probably crapped herself, but okay. So before the dragons advance, like you've thrown the body in, you're holding the weapon down. You've got it in both hands, sword facing down. As the dragons are approaching, you just see all of the dragon's maws fill with fire as they're coming in on this semicircle directly on the three of you, and you just see all of their maws full of just huge balls of fire.
I I'm gonna raise the sword up in one hand and yell out to him, and hopefully my interpreter will try to assist me with this.
I interpreted exactly.
I hold the sword straight up into the air and shout, "We are your friends, not your enemies." And then Io does his best interpretation of that in Draconic.
Dude, I do it exactly.
I just imagine Io is there. It's just like the scene from Finding Nemo, where Io's doing it, but just sounding loud and like growling in between. This fake whale accent that's going on.
I can speak whale?
Yeah. Just imagine Io's like that with Draconic. He's like, "We are not friends. We just being all loud."
Io sounds like actual Draconic speak.
Like Kain fully understands Io's version of Draconic.
How far away is Io and Chris from Can?
I'm just like a couple of feet from Kayan. I'm not that far behind him.
Pretty close.
Okay.
Pretty much standing side by side. Okay.
This is not terrifying at all.
Oh shit. It's like they're intelligent beings. They're forming an actual circle.
Well, the only surrounding us are like, they're not behind us yet, so I mean, it's just...
Worst case, guys, I got a smoke bomb. We can get out of this thing.
Worst case, I was just gonna shadow jump away and pull a jester. Just... If I could take Kain with me, probably would.
So, Kane's screaming this out that we are not a foe, and Io's grunting it out reaffirmingly. And as you do this, the dragons approach and they form the semicircle all around you. And so basically what happens next is you see the dragons just reach forward and you see mountains of fire coming from all 8 of the dragons' mouths directly onto the party. Just breath weapons, 8 fire breath weapons descending directly onto the party. In a moment of pure terror and panic, all 3 of you are looking wide-eyed at these hellacious just beams of fire about ready to melt the skin off of your bones. But luckily enough, at the same moment, Kain was holding up the sword, and for just a brief second, Kain's eyes turn completely silver. And you just see them glowing silver, and you hear a soft song coming from the hilt of the weapon that he's holding, and you see this semicircle go in front of the weapon, and the fire just curves around this circle that's at the very tip of the blade that Kain is holding, and everything around the party is completely scorched earth. So let's remove these old ones, and let's add, I don't want a line, I want a cone. So steam comes up from the water behind them, and the buildings are just incinerated. You guys are, the ground lowers a good 4 or 1/8 of an inch as the soil is just incinerated underneath your feet. And each one of you, there's no damage or nothing from you is caught on fire as Kain has held out the sword and the fire inferno just bent around the party.
I'm just staring at the sword right now. Like, I'm just staring at it, and I notice on the hilt that there's and I point as I stare at it. I look at the hilt of it, and I go, Io, look at this, and it's a sword, and it has like what looks like a castle with a sword sticking out of it. I go, look at this. This is a castle.
I just at first with the fire, even though it doesn't hurt him or anything, Lyle being a shade, he kind of naturally like shields his face and kind of withers back, and then he kind of realizes that the fire isn't doing anything to him, which is refreshing. And then he hears Can talking about the sword, and he just like looks at it. He's just he's dumbfounded. He's speechless. He doesn't know what to say. But
Somebody note the time. It's 7:51 Central Standard Daylight Time on November 11th, 18. Io is speechless.
Haters gonna hate.
Baby Sif, I miss your face.
Baby Sif.
Well, we have it immortalized now on stream too.
Yeah. You gotta clip it or save it because the stream won't be saved forever.
So
I was just being a good translator. He's just, not saying anything until Kan decides to say something to the dragon. He's just doing his job.
They were leaving. The baby wanted to say hi.
Baby! He doesn't look like a baby anymore. He's getting big. He's getting too big.
You're like growing a linebacker.
He was birthed a linebacker. I'm growing. I'm just keeping him from eating me.
I know, it's a catch-22. The more you feed him, the bigger he gets. But then, if you don't feed him, then he'll turn on you. Only delaying the inevitable.
And after like everything settles, after like what are they doing right now, like after they fired their initial blast?
So after that happens, you see them, all of the dragons simultaneously are breathing in once again, like sucking in air, and you, just the sheer body of all 8 of these dragons hovering above you, taking in a deep breath. You can hear just the pure power of the air around you being sucked out, and reinvigorating the dragon's breath attack.
So it's like Kirby.
Yes.
Okay.
Make a wisdom check, Can.
Oh, this will be great. Nah.
Oh shit.
Can is smart.
Kid's not wise. I don't know how that worked.
Yeah, I noticed there's no modifier on it.
There's no
He doesn't have a negative modifier. It's just,
That's
he's
true.
just average.
That's true.
His negative
okay.
swing modifier.
I will do that.
Abnegate trustworthy bat honey badger?
Right?
I'm confused. I don't know.
Yeah, 100. I don't like how the fact that all these dragons are in the bad track on the Twitch stream like that.
They're what?
Nothing.
Oh, you're looking at the stream and seeing the combat tracker?
Yeah.
That sucks.
I don't know.
Especially since I haven't had time to rest.
Yeah, I haven't had a chance to nap either. We need a nap time if we're gonna fight any dragons.
Be like, can you guys hold on for just like maybe 8 hours?
Oh god, the health bars are just playing on the map. It's a bad sign.
Feel free to blame Io for getting everyone involved in this.
Well, I mean, they're coming one way or the other. I mean, at least this way we killed the guy that killed the dragon. If we had helped the guy that killed the dragon, we would be in a lot worse situation.
I mean, that's true. You wouldn't have had the sword. Now you gave Kain what seems to be a somewhat awesome device. Io is speechless, says the Recon. I love it. Sorry, we're waiting for Sif to read some side text.
I'm reading a damn novel.
Yeah,
Thanks.
my apologies. While Sif's doing that, what is Chris's reaction as the earth is ablaze next to her and a giant wall of steam behind her from the water just catching on fire from these 8 dragons just unleashing unholy hell around you?
Well, I'm working really hard to not shit myself. And kicking myself for like using so much power on that last hit I had on that guy, so I just put my hand on my crossbow because that's pretty much all I have. So I kind of inch towards Kayan a little bit, and I tell him, I'm like, this isn't looking so good. What are we gonna do?
And after
So the dragons, in unison, all 8 of them, in Draconic, just flatly say, "Give us the weapon, or this city of ash will be your graveyard, mortals."
Hao just looks at Kain since he's the one talking to the dragons.
And I'm sorry, that was supposed to be in Draconic, so I don't know if Kayan or Jesse speaks Draconic.
Oh no!
In that case, I translate for Kain from Draconic into Kain's.
Io's actually an interpreter right now.
Yeah, Io, could you actually roleplay that out? I want to hear like Io's like interpretation and see if there's any adjustment in his tone based on the fact that he just saw 8 dragons almost incinerate his face off.
Yeah, I just look over at Kain and I'm like, I basically tell him that the dragons aren't happy, and then I tell him, word for word, saying, "Hey, the dragons want the weapon, or they're pretty much threatening to make this place our graveyard, and I think they're going to kill us if they don't get the weapon." And apparently they want to turn the whole city into ash. So, I mean, I say we let them do that, but then get them afterwards because the city stinks.
Hearing that, I ready the blade.
You do what?
I ready the blade in my hands, and tell Io once again that I tell him to tell them this, just kind of of course, they probably have like some supersonic hearing or some shit, but I don't know that. I'm Kayan.
Maybe they can't speak can. Maybe they don't speak
They can't speak Kayan. That's the. I said, tell them there's no need to fight, and I don't want to hurt any of them.
I just imagine like this dead look in Io's face, and as he's just staring at Kayan like, "You hurt them."
I kind of mutter back at to Kayan, and I was like, I don't think they're the ones who are gonna be hurting.
I have a feeling what Io wrote in Draconic is just kill the one with the sword. Like,
I would not say that. I mean, maybe if it was Jester or something.
No, he might say something that is gonna just piss the dragons off more.
No, I totally have this under control. Okay.
he said, "Bring it on."
I'll roll diplomacy check.
So I was getting ready to do that. Let's see, diplomacy. I always points in diplomacy.
Oh, shit. How did your diplomacy go so wrong with the first dragon?
Well, the dragon didn't fight me, it was the other guy.
That's right. That's right.
That's right, yeah. I was making friends with the first one. The other guy that was a jerk.
So, the dragons like they lower themselves. They're like hovering 30 feet into the air as they were coming in, and they blasted you guys, and now they're like lower to about 20 feet off the ground. Super intimidating. And as they do this, they just close in just a little bit more, like essentially cutting off any attempt to like run/escape unless it's through like the water.
They're almost in hugging range, guys. Maybe they want to give us hugs.
They are within hugging range technically. They are within
Kayan
at least
range?
Kayan, a round movement of Kayan. And specifically a couple of them, like you could probably climb a building or jump a building and get a solid cannonball off.
Great. But that's all we need.
But
As they
so
get closer, lower, I point like with the sword. I hold it out in one hand, pointing to where I threw the person, and I nudge Io again, signaling him to translate, pointing at the humanoid. I go, he is the one that felled your friend, not I, not Kayan. I go, we are the keepers of this blade now, and they will not harm you or your kind anymore.
What they say?
And I talking with the dragons, and I look over at Kay, and I was like, Kay, I don't think they're buying it. They said, they basically said, tell Kay, and tell your companion that this is his last warning. The shield, or I guess they're referring to the sword will not protect you from all sides. So I was like, I think they mean it.
I'll look back at Jesse and Kay, or no, Jesse and Io, and say, well, if they want this, and they plan to take it from me, the only way out must be to fight. As I clinch the blade with 2 hands.
Like, I don't know if I have the strength to fight after that last one, but I mean, I will do my best, but we're probably going to die.
Tell them, as long as you stay by me, we will be okay.
You're that confident about that sword?
I hold it up again, like staring at it, and like, it has saved us once. Let us hope it saves us again, because there is no running from here.
Well, you got that right. I could probably fly as fast as I can, but
I just see it go again, and Jesse just goes, woof, and just flies up into the air. Full round of movement up.
So as Io says this, like again, Kane's eyes turn silver as one of the dragons lunges directly towards Io.
I'm just a translator. Don't kill the messenger.
So
Don't shoot the messenger.
So Kane, go ahead and make a will save DC 30.
Oh, fuck me.
I don't know if we want the dragons doing that.
Will save!
Do it.
Close enough.
So-
chance.
So as Io says this, one of the dragons dives directly into Io's face, like comes down right above him. The magnificentness of this creature just flapping its wings directly above Io. The dragon itself is probably the size of one of these 2-story buildings. Just absolutely huge and awe-striking as it's right above Io's face, and the dragon just unleashes an inferno hovering directly on top of Io, and just as it looks like Io is going to be cremated live in front of everybody, Kayan jumps in front of Io and jumps up into the air. And as the breath weapon just incinerates a cone around Io and Kayan, again you see this shield form at the tip of the blade as Kayan's holding it up straight towards the dragon and jumping, and the fire, the column of fire just goes around Kayan and Io, just incinerating the earth around them and charring them. In fact, Chris, go ahead and roll a reflex save.
Oh shit.
Io did his job. He translated good, okay? He translated good thing. Good things for the dragon. Should not be blamed.
Oh, thank God for modifiers.
+1.
Nice. Go ahead and roll 3d6 and half that.
Oh, well, that's always lovely.
I can't decide to.
So as the splash fire damage just comes off, so what, 6 rounded down? So Chris, you take 6 points of fire damage as your shins and feet are a little bit singed / on fire from the column of fire that spread out from almost, or should have incinerated Io.
I kind of like float up a little bit. I float up off the ground.
Okay. So you come off the ground and you're hovering there and you're surrounded by the green light of your power ring. Can roll another will save DC 30.
Come on, nat 20.
So The dragon that attacked Io, if you click on it, it should let you select its number 3. Your Io, as soon as the flame goes away, Can lands right next to Io, and you can still see his eyes like pure silver. And as soon as you land, you look up at the dragon, and you are compelled to attack the dragon. So please attack that dragon with your sword.
What is this?
So that is 1 hit. Please remember to hit the critical modifier.
Yep. Where is it?
That is 1 strong sword.
One hit.
So Kain unleashes a fury of swipe attacks with the sword. It looks as if Kain has never looked before because his movements are just fluid and full of almost an Io's sword dance, like dexterity. And he jumps up to the dragon and makes a series of 4 cuts, with only one of them landing and finding its spot, and essentially 1 critical failure, it looks like. But Kain definitely draws blood with one of the attacks, and as he lands, he comes back and stands directly, like, in front of Io, his back to Io's chest.
And during this, am I conscious of this?
So, yes, you're conscious of it, but it's it's basically like you felt forced to defend Io with all of your life force. And so you unleash this defense against him, and now you're standing in front of him. The silver goes away from Kain's eyes, and the sword is held out between the dragon, him, and Io at his back.
So I still have the sword drawn. I just want to like point it at this dragon that's right in front of me.
Oh yeah. It's still drawn, and you're holding it out like in between you and the dragon.
I yell at him to call this attack off, and we can end this peacefully. And hopefully Io hasn't pooped himself, and he can translate.
I was kind of almost pooped his pants, but I think he's gonna manage.
I was just like crying during the translating, just like I don't know if I can.
Please don't hurt him.
I'm like, at this point, like, I'm all for a good fight, but fighting 8 dragons at once is not Io's idea of a good time. Maybe 2 or 3 dragons. 8 dragons. But I pretty much translate what Cam said.
Yeah. So how does Io try not to poop himself, and just seeing like Can unleash this fury of blows? How does Io communicate that to the dragon?
Well, first I kind of like, since Kane's so close to me, he's like pretty much in his back. I'm like, I whispered to Ken, like, are you sure you really want to tell him that? I mean, he hit 1 dragon, but he's still going strong. There's 8 to 7. It's like, do you really want to say that?
I nod and say, this has protected us from the 8, and it will continue to do so.
What's Chris doing, hovering slightly off the ground behind the 2 of the Io and Kain?
I'm holding on to my crossbow that I'm pretty sure will not do anything towards these dragons, but I'm like gripping it like my life. will depend on it, and kind of like just trying not to just take off and leave my friends, but I am terrified. And I can't talk to them, so I can't try to put any words in.
Um, as Jessie readies like her crossbow, I look back, and I just like hold it like my hand back at her, and I say, "We like this sword is the only thing that can protect us." I go, "That will do nothing." I go, "Put it down, or else they might be able to hurt us. We must trust in this blade."
I kind of like carefully like kind of holster it, and I'm like, all right, well, I'm pretty sure I'm going to die right now anyway, so
I motion with her with what like just I go, "Just come, stay close. It will protect us. I hope." Like just
Okay.
like holding it as hard as I can, like with my hand.
Okay, I kind of go down like right kind of behind them and like right close to them, and I'm like going, you better be right. I really don't feel like being barbecued.
It's a 3-person conga line that's going on right now. The sword leading the way.
Oh geez, now they're definitely forming a full circle. It's not a semicircle anymore. It's pretty much a full-blown circle. Now you've done it. Need like a 360-degree can defense mode. Need a blaze bunker or something.
I am the blaze bunker.
So the other dragon flew back into position, like almost like licking its wounds, and all the dragons, like the fire that was in their maws, have disappeared. And as I was speaking out to them, you can just see their eyes narrowing as the circle grows ever so smaller as they surround the party, standing on charred earth. It looks like they haven't flown over the bridge, so potentially is an escape route. But at this point, you've got like, so let's move the miniatures a little bit. So you've got Kayan, who's standing facing like the 3 of these dragons as they're being encircled, holding out the weapon with Jesse and Io like firmly behind him. So Kayan, go ahead and roll initiative for me. And let's see if you make a move or if the dragons make a move.
Oh, son of a... Go, initiative. Dragons make their first move.
We're so dead. But I mean, maybe if King could hit the cross that barn. No offense, Ken.
It's okay. Kayan does not believe in himself either. Kayan believes in the blade.
Oh, we're all dead. I just kind of like, as I see Kane trying to take initiative with his sword, and I just kind of like whisper to him, like, maybe you should give that someone who can hit the brawls out of a barn, and like I just whisper that to him. I'm like, no offense, okay, Kane, we're all gonna die.
So one of the dragons like come out and just claw bite and swipe at Kan, and his eyes turn silver again, and using the blade, Kan dances, and you see it, and he's moving back ever so slightly as he's pushing back Jesse and Io as he's fending off claw, bite, wing, tail whip from the dragon, and the entire party's moving back a little bit further this way, as Kan just fends off every single attack from the dragon.
I feel like I'm in an Olympic fencing match.
Yes.
The giant onyx broadsword.
Kane, go ahead and make a, well, would your character attack the dragon at this point?
Can would not, no.
Okay, make a will save, DC 30.
Yeah, I figured that.
Oh, jeez. I think the sword has
I figured that was the case.
Okay, roll 4 attacks against the dragon that just attempted to attack you. Dragon 4.
That's still is that number 4 this time?
Yep.
Alright, number 4.
So 3 hits.
Nice.
Remember, each 3 you have to click the critical button on the plus
Yep.
minus on the top right.
Yep. Critical damage number. Critical damage.
Sheesh.
Critical.
And he's still, yeah, 3 credits. Because I don't get the sense that Kane is being controlled by the sword, or that it can attack the ship.
So, Kanan, as he's batting back the dragon's attack and like counter-offensing it and pushing back Jesse and Io in the defense, right afterwards you see him spring forward and he pushes off of Io, pushing Io back even with Jesse, and he springs forward into a fury of swipes, cutting a full 360, almost looking like he goes into a full whirlwind, and then into 2 more attacks. One with his right hand with the sword, and then he switches the sword to his left hand in midair and spins a half circle and cuts into the dragon again. The dragon reels back in pain, and you see the dragon start shaking, and it just falls to the ground as it takes massive damage and is looking to be incapacitated. As the dragon falls, Kain puts the sword back in his right hand and quickly walks backwards back to both Jesse and Io with like his left hand out, kind of guarding back to where Io would be behind him, and he's got the sword leveled and it's moving between all 8 of the or now 7 of the dragons, like as he's methodically looking at each of them, almost waiting for another attack. And after that, Kane's eyes turn from silver again back to his natural color.
And I continue. After that, I just keep motioning for them to kind of go back and just trying to consolidate them behind me. But I don't want to keep I don't want to walk back unless we're getting forced back.
Yeah. Does Jesse or Io do anything or say anything?
Does Io notice that Kane's eyes change when he attacks with the sword?
Spot check.
Spot. Io has no spot. He does not.
Nope. Io sees the rain. And then the pure swordsman display that just went on as Kain leveled that dragon in a matter of a 6-second round. Just like, especially with Io being so in love with like the martial skills and his swordsmanship and his sword dancing, like that was something that was like, holy fuck, like I can't believe he did that. What about Jessie? Has she pooped herself?
Yeah, she's pooping herself right now.
So the dragons after this display, you see them actually give ground and move back. And from the dragon over here, dragon 1, let's see. Can make a reflex save.
Something that I have higher points than will.
Well, I can't see any wrong with it. Well,
Nice. Go ahead and let's see. Sorry, hit die.
I should get cans in the world.
Kane, could you go ahead and roll 24 die 6?
Oh, jeez.
I could probably do that. I don't know. I would want to ever do that. 20.
So, with that sword has ridiculous AC, I think, no, it's a oh my. Can's dead!
I look at all those
Can's
sixes.
dead. Yeah, those ones don't seem to make up for the 5 senses.
So, a large beam of electrical energy comes from the far dragon on the left, an arcing lightning bolt, and it's meant to go directly towards Chris's character, but Kain,
It's a monkey!
yep, Kain moves to the side and just reflectively takes the hit, and you see the lightning bolt catch Kain square in the chest, and just the full brunt of the bolt goes directly into him. Kain, go ahead and take 90 points of damage. Although as Kain, yeah, as Kain, like,
Oh, jeez.
his chest hair just looks absolutely singed. It almost looks like it should have like blasted a crater in his chest. Although Kain is unflinching. Kain stands tall as if he wasn't even hit.
Well, apparently, like, died of chest hair.
Yeah.
His chest hair has 90 HP.
Yeah. The epic shield of chest hair I forgot to tell you guys about.
He's unleashed his hidden power.
Yeah, I leap in front of Chris and in front of Jesse and just take the shot.
And I cower.
Officially pooped in their pants.
This is what happens when I don't have any of like my PowerPoints left.
Alright, it's Kain's turn.
Yes. I hold my ground. After I'm still looking around at the other dragons, still like observing to making sure that none of them or which of them looks like they're going to come in and attack next. But I want to like lock eyes with number 1 that just shot this bolt, and I just am standing there after taking it. I just want to like look at him, and since Io's on the other side, I don't want him to translate. I want I guess I want to try to intimidate this dragon. Is what I'm going for.
Okay. So, like, kind of like a fake rush at it or something?
Not even a fake rush, but just like standing there after taking probably one of its strongest attacks, and me just still, like, it looks like nothing happened to me. I want to just stare at it, gripping the sword, and not even run at it. Just like, I'm this small, like this, well, not small, but large half elf that just withstood this giant 3-story tall dragon's attack, and I would like to stare at it and almost give the emotion of "you cannot hurt me."
Make an intimidation check at +5.
Oh, please, just anything but a nat one.
You can do it, Ken. I believe. Believe in Ken.
There we go.
Nice. I'm definitely intimidated.
So the dragon just continues to stare a hole through Kayan, and doesn't look as if it's intimidated, but also isn't advancing. So as it comes back to the dragon's turn, a majority of the dragons take another good couple steps back, / wing bats, wing flutters back, except for dragon number 1, and we'll say dragon number 7. Everybody else is like, holy fuck. And dragon number 1 and 7 actually comes a little bit closer.
The ones that come closer, I yell to Io as I'm like frantically looking back and forth at them because they're on opposite sides of me. I go, yell to them if they've come to talk.
After seeing Can's like impressive display, he's a little bit more uppity in the translations.
Fucking Io. So in response to Io's comment, the dragons respawn and even take like 5 footsteps closer. 5-foot wingbat closer.
I don't like not knowing what this conversation is.
Well, you can always ask Io what they're saying.
I could. Doesn't mean I'm gonna get the full thing from it. See many a thing when Jester translated things.
Io is a faithful translator. Totally 100%. You're right.
I don't know if Jester left the bar, walked out, saw the dragons, and he was like, fuck
Nope.
it. Walked back in, started drinking more.
Walks out, looks at him, and is like, nope. Walks back in.
I look over at Can as the dragons reply, and I'm like, I don't think they're ready to surrender just yet. They said that the blade might protect you, but how much more can you take? And how much more can you take before you break? I think they can take you, Can. I don't think they're ready to give it up.
I look at Io. I go, well, as long as we continue to trust in this blade, and I stare at the blade. I go, it has not led us astray yet. We must stand behind it and hold this ground.
With that, it's Kane's turn. As some dragons have moved back, and the 2 have moved forward.
I am, as a Chevy commercial would say, like a rock. Or a Dodge or Ram or whatever the fuck it is. I'm standing my ground with my homies.
All right. So as you do this, it's the dragon's turn again, and they move in ever so closer to you. Feel free to make a will save for me, DC 30.
Yeah. Guess what, dragon? Something's gonna happen to you. Not my fault until that 20 comes up. You're not gonna get hit.
Alright, I need you to make a strength check with your enhanced modifier.
Oh, Jesus. Is that in the...
and strength modifier would be insane.
Yeah, it's not that one. Yeah, there. Okay.
All right. So I want you to go ahead and roll 1d6 and half it.
Right.
Okay.
2.
Io and Jesse both take 12 points of subdual damage. So Kayan's eyes again turn silver, and you see him kind of hold the blade directly up in the air, and he turns to both Jesse and to Io and kicks them square in the chest. So Kayan kicks them square in the chest, and Io and Jesse go flying back 20 feet as they fly and hit the ground. And as this happens, you see 2 eruptions of fireballs of Inferno just drop and go off directly on top of Kayan. And you just see this huge inferno of swirling death of a fireball, 2 of them simultaneously going off on top of Kayan. Remarkably, Kayan had kicked Io and Jesse just far enough out of the range of the inferno. Kayan, go ahead and make a reflex save. Let's see if you're able to save out of this damage.
I'm sending another chest hair.
Reflex save!
So,
All right.
Oh,
Can you
jeez.
roll 24 dice 6 twice?
There goes all his chest hair. He is gonna be bald as a newborn baby.
Hair? What hair?
50 cents.
Dan should die like over 3 times over.
But as this happens, as the fire dissipate from these giant fireballs, I'm standing there with the sword and just readied.
This is true. So, the fireballs dissipate, and Kayan is still standing there, unflinching, with the sword held out, eyes locked directly at the dragon number 1. And you can see that parts of Kayan's chest and his legs are just missing skin at this point. His body is completely charred and scabbed over, as if he's has 3rd-degree burns all over his body, and chunks of his flesh have just been melted off. His face looks like he's been through this infernal blast, but he's not wavering / moving at any point, showing that he's not capable of maintaining life, essentially. Would you attack the dragon at this point, or would you just stand your ground?
I'm going to actually hold the sword to my face. Well, too obviously, yeah, face, but closer. And say to it, I go, Blade, you have helped me so far. I go, I am willing to do what you need to protect my friends. And then I wait to feel that, I guess what you're describing as the silver eyes. I wait for that feeling to come over me.
As soon as you say this, your eyes turn silver again, and Kayan leaps. Go ahead and make a jump check with your adjusted strength mod.
Oh, thank God.
Can jump like I would jump.
Oh, my jump's actually positive. Never mind. Sweet.
So Kayan makes a jump into the air and bounds up towards dragon number 1. And again, you see him go into a whirlwind and attacks with the blade in a very devastating manner.
Attacking number 1.
Yep.
Attack it.
Damn, just one hit.
Jeez.
Okay.
Kane is like that so that one enemy that the knight Kane hit the broadside of the bar. Just
Right.
to glutton for punishment.
I'm assuming this is how I want to play this out. Just make sure it's not like can sucking as usual. But like internally, from what everyone knows, I don't like to kill things.
He's unconsciously holding back.
It's because Kane's not throwing his will into it. It's just the sword attacking. It's not Kane attacking.
Yeah, that's.
It's those nat 4s and 10 4s and 14s. How did the 12 hit and not the 14?
The
Different modifier.
Oh yeah, the attack. Yeah, I got it. Okay, so and after the attack, Kane bounces back and is in between Jesse and Io again. And Jesse and Io are both almost nauseated at the smell of burnt and charred flesh coming off of Kane.
Cocaine.
And I would like to, like, if I have any say, I am in like, I guess if I am like communing with the blade, I'm in like full communion with it, where I'm keeping the silver eyes, like how I've been jumping back and forth between it. I'm giving myself, I guess, to be the vessel of the blade.
Oh jeez.
Okay.
With the sole purpose that it should know that I wanted to protect my friends. So.
Yeah, you watch Kane go berserk with the sword and just kill the dragon and kill us and just kill him.
I have to go do stuff.
Okay.
No.
Okay. So
Chad left us too. Everybody's leaving.
he probably went to smoke. So at this point, the other dragons have all but retreated far back. And you can hear them kind of arguing amongst themselves, like as they're almost in full retreat, except for dragon number 1 and dragon number 7, which at this point have landed and are on opposite sides of Jesse or Io. And Kane's in the middle of Io and Jesse, but at this point, the dragons are flanking them on other sides.
I backed up.
And it's Kane's turn. What does Kane do?
I am the blade. There is no Kane here, only Zool.
Okay.
I was like, those
No, I pretty much, like, I feel like the blade has been helping me. I am just still I guess I'm gonna pull
So I
Jesse
mean,
and yeah, they're close enough to me. I guess I can hold my movement to basically make a leap in front of whoever they go after.
go ahead and make a will save DC 30 then, because the blade would compel you to continue attacking dragon number 1.
Yep.
So
Dragon number 1.
close. So go ahead and take more swipes at dragon number 1. Shit.
1, 2,
3 hits.
See, I love how that 2 hits because of that modifier.
Yeah. How's a crazy modifier? As long as you don't roll a nat 1. That's not guaranteed.
That's what happens when you wield an artifact. Jesus. Jesus. Is that all the damage? Yep.
Yeah, that's 3.
The dragon falls as Kane jumps up and stabs it in its back. And so Kane's on the back of the dragon, jumps up and stabs it on its back, and then goes into a whirlwind. And the whirlwind ends up just eviscerating the dragon. Just so many cuts that the dragon is bleeding out and falls to the ground. And as this happens, Kane jumps back directly next to Jesse and Io, with the one dragon left. On the dragon's turns, the other dragons are pretty much at this point in full flippin' retreat. Like, they have turned around and they are flying away. So the Io says something to the dragon, and the dragon's essentially shouting things at Io.
Jeez. I just say as I hear the dragons, we just sigh, shake my head at this point because it's inevitable. Can't just unstoppable monster with the sword. I just look over it and I'm like, that one dragon, he's not giving it up. He's more than willing to die. Just won't. Yeah, I tell Can to finish that one.
I look at Io, and I say, I kind of nod to him, and hopefully this will be the end of this.
It's like, I hope so too. I don't know how many more dragons we can kill. Never wanted to kill any dragons. They just want to keep killing us. But I look over at King and I was like, I don't know how you're still alive. You should be dead, right? No, I understand it. I don't know how anybody, even not even a shade, could withstand that kind of should still exist.
I nod to Io and I go, "It is the blade helping me protect you." It is keeping me, allowing me to do this.
But at what cost, Ken? What if something happens to you after the sword is done using it? It's only so much Ken can take.
And with that exchange, Kayan and Io just kind of look at each other for a long couple heartbeats, and then Kayan turns his attention back to the dragon and unleashes another flurry of blows on this dragon assailant.
Fuck you, dragon number 7.
That's two. That's
Your rolls are so ridiculously low.
hey. Even
What else is new?
I think the majority of your rolls have been under 10.
Of course they have. My life.
Ken is still killing the crap out of the dragon. Nothing that can stop him.
So Kayan attacks the dragon, finding blood in more than a couple swings. The dragon kind of moves back and takes up to the air on its turn. And as it does this, it grabs like large pieces of debris from the buildings around it. And as it's flying up in the air, it chucks the debris directly towards Io. Io, go ahead and make a reflex save.
Kill the messenger. Well, you want to use this opportunity to actually use a combat maneuver and use concentration. That reflex.
Okay.
It's gonna help with the giant boulder falling towards him. We'll see.
So, pretty much a giant boulder is going to fall on Io, and Io makes like a super backflip in place, and makes it out of the way of the flying boulder. And the dragon looks even more infuriated, but at this point, Io and Jesse are even more split up from Kane's defense.
I just want to find the bar where Jester's at. Just have a drink at this point. I was had enough dodging fireballs and
Just fly to the Watsy while I finish up.
So just we'll let you take care of this. We'll save you a drink.
It's Kane's turn.
Going off of what I said, I'm going to go fuck up this thing. I'm gonna go kill it.
Let's
If I
see,
can hit
4
it.
misses.
I hate you.
Kane's gonna roll good.
3 hits
Oh shit!
and a death.
Was that a double nat 20? No.
That's 19s.
Yeah, it's just crits. So,
Oh yeah, because it's 19 out of 3.
yeah.
So 3 hits.
Go ahead and roll damage. Shit. Shit. Just like going to town on this dragon. So you jump up and slice and dice at the dragon, and you're standing directly in front of Io. So the dragon, after you assault it, like in a desperation move, it flies up, and it just again looking down between Kayan and Io and Jesse. Io, go ahead and make a reflex save.
Do I get an attack of opportunity on the dragon?
No.
Okay.
Can't use
Just checking, you know?
Yeah.
I gotta
Same
try.
maneuver twice in a row, so I gotta do reflex this time. Reflex.
Oh, you can't use a maneuver?
No, I mean I can't use the same one unless I make an attack and refresh it. I can't use the same one to revision for reflex. And this other one, because I have so
Got it.
for regular reflex.
I'll make a will save.
Oh, see, it will say I have new. So I'm gonna roll concentration.
So as Io's making a will save, a giant lightning bolt comes out to hit Io, and he jumps out of the way. And as he jumps out of the way of the lightning bolt, a large beam of black energy just comes down from the sky directly on top of Io. And Io gets hit dead center with this beam of black energy coming out of the sky. Io, you take no damage, but Io is like poof. Io's gone.
That's the
just
story.
disappears.
I was just gone. Oh, jeez.
Io, it feels as if you're like, you know that kick when Kane kicked you directly in the chest and you flew back 15, 20 feet? That's kind of what this felt like a kick in the gut. Although it feels like you went flying for miles.
Flew all the way back to another plane of existence.
Hmm.
Ah, jeez.
Kane, your move.
I will try to finish off this bastard. In the scar that he has left. And yeah. 2 hits.
2 hits, no waiting.
Jesus.
You know what if it is? What would be the odds? Him playing right back to the one.
Thank God.
The dragon is dead. So Kane just again whirlwinds like 4 times and just like cuts chunks of the dragon's wings off and just fillets into the side of the dragon. And the dragon is just a bloody carcass mess on the ground. And the other dragons at this point have just all but flown completely outside the city. They're gone from view. And with that said, like, Kane's looking down at the dragon, and the silver in Kane's eyes disappear as he's staring down at the dragon and looking around and looking at Jesse and looking at the dragons. And Io is nowhere to be found. But at that exact moment, like, Kane locks eyes with Jesse, and the sword falls out of Kane's grasp onto the ground. And as this happens, Kane just immediately hits the ground and stops moving. Io, you're watching this, but you can tell you're watching this from the plane of shadows. Go ahead and make a wisdom check. You know that you have just been banished. So you've been sent back to the shadow plane. So you're in the same place in the same time as the party is right now, but you're locked to just viewing this from the shadow plane.
It's like Yu-Gi-Oh! I'm in the shadow realm.
Yep, you're in the shadow realm. Go ahead and make a knowledge or religion check, or a spellcraft check, whichever's better.
I do have some things. Claire.
Okay. Um, you know that you've been sent away from Adia and you're on the shadow plane and you were banished. Basically, the only way to get back is you would have to plane shift or some kind of powerful spell like that to be able to get back.
Great. It's okay. I got friends in the Shadow Realm. I mean, we can hang out for a bit. It's all good.
I got peeps. I know friends.
I start looking for a bar in the Shadow Realm. You know, and I need a shadow being person. Considering that I cannot get back, on my own. So I start wandering the shadow world.
Nice. So you start wandering around. Let's take a good 5-10 minute break. I'm gonna have a cigarette, and hopefully Chris is back because
I'm gonna go
at
cry.
this point Jester is passed out. I was on the shadow plane, and Kane's pretty much dead.
Kane's a pile of melted flesh.
I'll see you on the other side, Ken, soon. We'll hang out.
Kane succeeded in his job.
I wouldn't call that a success. I mean, I just got teleported to the shadow.
I kept
Could have
you
won just a
alive.
little bit sooner. Just one more hit on those dragons. Oh, I wouldn't be in the shadow.
Damn, Chris is gone.
Oh, really?
Well, no, I'm just saying she hasn't come back. I was like, shit, I thought she was only going to be gone for a couple minutes.
Yeah.
Oh. Alright, as we wait for the other peeps to come back. So how badass was was the flavor text on that sword?
I loved it. I just thought I didn't think I could actually attack. That's why I held off for so long. I let it do its thing. But I didn't know if I started to use it, if it would be like, yeah, it's good.
So Io doesn't find a Shadow Realm bar.
Damn it.
So while we're waiting for Chris to come back, Io, you see Sif fall, and you see Jesse is just like paralyzed with fear, not moving. So Io's watching this in kind of like the shadowy negative realm, like it's all black and white, and it's still raining, and you see Kain hit the ground. And you see him just laying there, not moving, and the sword next to him. And you can see this, but you can't like reach out and touch him or anything. It's just like specters or ghosts around you. So what does Io do?
I guess can't find a bar. I goes over to Kaden. It's just kind of like kneels beside Kaden, but it's banished in shadow. And starts whispering to her. Saying you can make it.
So I imagine Io kind of like reaching out to like Kain, but like his hands go through Kain, and he's like, "You can make it," and he's kind of like just dramatically looking at Kain and saying this, and kind of like reaching out to the ghost of Kain without being able to touch him, as Kain's just like crumpled up in a burnt flesh mess. So a couple moments go by of Io just kind of like being unreconcilable, and you kind of pull yourself back together, and you just hear the wind blowing around you as you're staring at the specter of Kain, and you can see Jesse just like not moving, like hunched over. You can't tell if she's wounded or if she's just unable to move. And you see the corpses of the 3 dragons that Kain has slayed laying on the ground, also in kind of specter form.
I don't know since he's in the shadow there, but that's like that's the thought that count. He tries to he uses divine powers of darkness to cure Kain's light wound. That's what he did.
So you attempt to call out to the darkness and heal his wound through the shadow plane, and this energy of the shadow, the tendrils off of your body just kind of like sprawl out around you, and you can feel your healing power just magnified as the darkness coalesces around you, and you feel this huge surge of energy going to Ghost Kain. And unfortunately, Ghost Kain cannot be healed because you're not on the same plane. But the spell discharges, and the darkness kind of dissipates back to normal. But you could tell definitely as you called to the power of the void that you were able to feel a strong connection to the darkness as you attempted to throw your might into healing him.
Gotta go back home and check. Your home was benched.
So, as you're sitting there, and this disappears, the healing energy goes away, and the darkness returns to normal. You see this faint symbol just appear over Kane's head, and it's like kind of like it's in blue lightning, kind of not lightning, but blue light, and it's the symbol of the 4. And it's on his forehead, and you can see it almost as if it's clear as day, like a light that's brighter than anything else in the realm currently of shadows. And as you see that, let's cut back to Chris now that Chris is back. So, Chris, you're like hunched over. You're not wounded or damaged except for the subdual from getting kicked, but while you were gone, Kane basically destroyed 2 more dragons, and after the other dragons like flew off in fear.
I just realized I was in the AFK channel. I was like, why can't I hear anybody?
Why is nobody talking to me?
Well, welcome back. So,
Chris.
while you were gone, Kane pretty much decimated the other 2 dragons, and the other dragons flew away in fear. Io was banished. Io just disappeared. Like a dragon hit him with attack of black energy, and Io just disappeared. And as the second dragon fell, Kane was standing over the dragon, and as the dragon died, Kane stood there for a couple heartbeats looking at the dragon, and then dropped the sword. And as he dropped the sword, Kane just fell to the ground and is not moving.
Oh. And my reaction is, well, shit.
That seems to be the theme with you today.
Well, I run over to Kane's body,
Mm-hmm.
and kind of grab him a little bit, just kind of like, oh my god. Okay, no bad touching. Let's see. I'm not into dead bodies.
Necrophiliac! We knew it!
You totally called that.
I don't really, not really ranked in heal, but I'm gonna see if I can. I mean, I can tell he's that he's probably dead, but if there's anything I can do.
Yeah.
You know that he is like dead, like so dead it hurts. I don't know if it shows on the combat tracker, but he's dead. So basically, like, you're reaching out to touch him, and his skin, like, as you touch it, is just like charred. He's just a pile of charred flesh, and he's
I'm charred, but I'm already cold to the touch.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, but I noticed that, like, this happened when he dropped the sword, right?
Yes, you notice that.
Well, I grabbed the sword and I kind of just lay it on him, because I'm just like going, I don't know what to do, because like Io disappeared and I'm basically standing by myself in like ashy ruin. So I do just the first thing that I possibly could think of.
Okay. You put the sword on him, and you're kind of like knelt over him, and for the first time, like the I guess the totality of the situation kind of weighs down on Jesse as the corpses of 4 dragons are around you. The entire area around you is just scorched earth. Kane's all crispy, and there's some kind of divine body off to the side as well that's just been run through when Sif slayed the other guy. So you're the only thing living, surrounded by a pile of corpses, and you have no idea where Io is. And Io, you're just watching this unfold as you're also like kind of kneeling there next to Kan.
I try, talking to Jessica from the plane that I've been banished to. Try to whisper from the other side.
What do you try to whisper?
Hey, I'm here. Come rescue me. Hello.
Hey.
Okay.
Hey, that sounded like a very strange way of saying that, just so you know.
Cough, Sylvanas, cough.
You
I
guys
love
sound
it.
like you're like 2 exes that saw each other for the first time after 15 years at your high school reunion. You're like, hey!
Well, I am in the plane, so that's just how it comes across. I'm not gonna go pull out on the hay if I don't hear me.
So, Chris, as you're like kind of kneeled over Kane's corpse and you put the sword on him, a long moment goes by as you're kind of like hoping something to happen, and nothing does happen. And after a couple moments, it's almost as if you hear Io's voice like behind you on the wind, but you don't see him, and it's very faint. It's kind of as if the wind is wrestling up and the rain is falling on you.
Can I do anything with like my knowledge planes
Sure.
and kind of see if
Yeah.
if I could recognize that?
Yeah, go ahead. Damn. So normally that would just be one of those moments where like you think you hear something, but you don't. But you fixate on it and you feel Io's presence. Like you can feel him there next to you, like kneeling next to Kane's corpse. And you know he's there. He's just not on the same plane as you.
Well, this just makes everything worse. All right, well, I hear you. Do you know any way I can get you back here? Do I know?
Do you know where if you can teleport to another plane of existence, particularly the shadow plane, that would be great.
So you don't hear Io talking anymore, but Io, you can hear her. And it's as if she's talking to you underwater. So it's coming through very muffled. But you can hear it almost like a whisper.
So I try to talk back to Jessica, and I get the impression she can't hear me anymore, so she's not really responding. So after a couple minutes, Howard gets kind of bored. He starts like, putting bunny ears on Jessica through the shadow and just trying to keep himself entertained.
Okay.
I then just like kind of I'm like, oh, what can I do? What can I do? Is there any place that I've seen anywhere nearby, maybe outside of like the scorched area or anything, where I can possibly like kind of drag Kayan's body and like like kind of hide it so it's just not laying out, but just kind of so I know where it is. So, because I want to go see if I can find Jester.
Well, make a wisdom check. I'm sure Jesse could probably like kind of surmise where Jester might have went, since there's only a couple places you guys have gone to.
Yeah.
So an educated guess, especially from the direction where Jester took off from when you guys were in the castle, the only place that you could think of that Jester would have went to was either the Mage's Tower or to the Watsy. Because in the southern area of the town, aside from the docks, those are the only two places where you guys have thought about going or frequented to going. And also, if you make a will check, DC 10, you would be able to not necessarily drag Can, but you could use the power of your will and your ring to basically manifest holding him up and carrying him.
Yay!
Yeah. So you're more than able of just like activating your ring and bringing your green aura around yourself and basically powering up and then carrying him with you through the power of your ring will.
Okay. Well, I put his body, because I don't want to like take his body like into the bar.
Mm-hmm.
So then since I'm able to move it so easily, what I want to do is, because it's nighttime, right?
Yeah. Well, it's dark and storming and raining and like very stormy out and dark.
Okay, I kind of go high up in the air, kind of like above like normal people's vision, because people aren't going to generally just walk around looking up. So I'm kind of going to go up above, and then I'm going to go over to like the area of the Watsy, and I'm going to find a place where I can kind of put his body, but have it kind of covered up so I can just keep it safe and hidden from other people. Just for the time being.
Horses. That's where Kane goes.
Yep. So there's of course the horse barn outside the Watsy, or you have a couple places on the docks that you could go. But as you fly towards the docks, you haven't seen a soul. Like no one's out wandering about.
Well, they probably looked outside and saw like a million dragons outside and said, it's not safe to go outside. So, okay, I used the horse barn and kind of
Okay.
put him under, like some hay and stuff, just so people in the very immediate future won't find his body. So.
Do you leave the sword with him?
No, I take that with me.
Okay. All right, so you put the sword. Do you put it in a bag, or do you put it on your back, or what do you do with the sword?
Let me look at my.
And as she's looking at that, you see Jesse manifest a glowing aura around her, and it extends out to Kayan, and she shoots up into the air beyond your sight. What does Io do?
Well, guess I'm gonna go for a walk. Because I don't think, Joseph said everything out loud before she left, so I'm like, okay, well, she just flew off and left the can. Well, so I'm going for a walk. That's what Io does. Try to see if he can find his friend.
I was not the hero we deserve, but the hero we need. I love it. I love it.
Okay.
Where does Io take a walk to?
I take a walk, down this way.
Okay.
Start walking down to where where that house was, and with the basement and the portal that I went the shadow realm the last time, just to see if it's there in this plane.
Dang. All right.
Going deep back into the Isles lore experience.
That was okay. Well played.
Fuck.
You weren't supposed to remember that.
All right. So as Io's going back to his happy place, what is so Jesse buries Cain in a shallow grave, put some straw on him, and then do you go into the Watsy?
Yes. And I don't have like a bag of like what's, oh my god, I cannot think of the name of the bag. Yes. But I don't have a bag of holding, so if I put it in my bag, it basically would just tear a hole in the bottom of my bag. So I don't have that size of bag. So yeah, I put it on my back.
Okay.
And kind of attach it. But I kind of put it like kind of behind my bag, so you can't really like, it's kind of mostly kind of obscured. So unless someone's like looking right at it. So, but
How big is this sword?
I don't know.
It's a long sword.
It's a cannon's nest sword.
Yeah, so basically, yeah, so I mean, you can see the hilt and like the end of the sword, but it's, I'm doing the best I can here with what I've got. So, I go inside the Watsy and I scan the initial crowd to see if I see him. Is he there?
Please stand by.
It's like
So-
silence.
You walk into the Watsy and there's nobody in here. It's just completely devoid of anybody. The door's wide open except for Jester. As you walk in,
Actually, she probably wouldn't see him.
that's true. So you walk in and you don't see anything at this point. It's just completely empty.
Because as an out-of-game review, he was drinking happily over here in this corner.
Yeah.
Super, super drunk. Stumbles over, goes to refill his cup, and falls over the bar. Pass out.
Okay, well then I start kind of doing that thing where I look around, since I know that he's probably been drinking, so he has to be somewhere. So I'm looking under tables, and kind of looking, because there's nobody here. I'm gonna care that I'm looking around, so
It's just everything's covered in ash, isn't it?
Yes.
That's what I remember.
But at this point, the ash is just like pretty much blown out, but you can see there's a large semblance of ash in the room, in the bar itself. It takes you, I'll say you take 20, so you come in and you start like looking under tables, moving chairs, like is Jester under this chair? And you're looking about, and you get about halfway in the bar, and then you just see a line of like alcohol / food, like kind of like spewed out in this direction, and then you see the front of the bar is coated in vomit, and as you look down, you see Jester's just in a pile sawing logs behind the bar. He's just snoring very loudly.
I sigh
But he's still got to
heavily
get a
and
grip on his cup.
I sigh heavily and roll my eyes. And I go over to him and so I'd probably have to go around over here because
Sure, unless you leap the bar.
yeah, I'm not gonna leave. Yeah, I come around over here, and does he have like vomit on him?
No.
Or is it just on the bar?
It's on the bar.
Okay.
And as Chadwick said, he's like half slumped over like the the barrel of fluid, but his hand is still firmly grasping his tankard that's sitting up on the bar counter, but he's like passed out and snoring over the keg.
Is there a big barrel that has like a bunch of water in it?
No, but the barrel that I was getting the drink from is probably still running the tap.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, I'm looking for water. I'm not gonna alcohol you.
So there's like a big puddle of meat or whatever, like just rolling off on the floor.
Yeah. Is there any water? And I'm searching for like any sort of water.
You find back here is like little kegs of water, fresh water. Okay. Because they keep Dasani water in kegs for some reason in the Watu.
Dasani? Is that what you...
It's how they water down the booze.
I'm gonna use my ring again to see if I can lift up the
whole keg
of water.
DC 10.
Okay.
Jesus.
Do.
Oh!
Did you just nat one?
Yes.
So you go to lift it up, and as you do this, you get it lifted off the ground, and it just suddenly, your willpower fizzles out, and it falls, breaking the keg, and the keg just breaks onto the ground, and water goes everywhere.
Wouldn't this be my day? Is there another one?
Yeah.
All right. Can I try again?
Yes, you can.
Anything but a one. Okay.
Nice. So you're able to lift it.
All right, then I take it back over here, and I turn it over on him.
So Jester's had a couple hours of induced sleep, drink-induced sleep, and suddenly is woken up to a keg full of water being dumped on him as he's hungover and sick to his stomach.
Trying to imagine what that would actually result in.
It's just a room full of eldritch blasts.
Well, I guess the other thing, did you read the... Yeah, you read it because you commented on it. How much of that was, canon? Or, the between?
It's all canon.
Okay. So he's had a decent conversation, and he's a little less worked up, I guess. So I'd probably just be... Fuck, what the... Oh, what's up, Ashtray?
There's a slight problem.
You can see it as...
You died and turned a pile of ash and came back. You're doing better than most around here.
Well, I grab him by the the shirt. I'm like, you're gonna need to come with me right now. I need to show you something.
buy a guy a drink first.
You've had enough to drink, obviously.
I like lean over and I try to get as much out of the like dripping tap as possible.
I pull him forward and I like pull him up.
I go.
Yeah.
Not steadily, but I go.
Yeah. Then I kind of like push him in front of me, you know, like through, you know, the opening to the bar and out the door of the Watsy, and then I kind of grab his shirt again before he teeters over, and and I pull him to the house barn.
Okay.
Would it be a fortitude save or a constitution?
To vomit, Constitution. Let's do second edition style. You pass if you roll under your con.
Oh. So just roll 20 or what?
Yep.
Oh.
Just roll d20, no mods, and if it's under 14, it's a pass. If it's over 14, it's a fail.
Well, I was just actually thinking, like, how am I still drunk or am I hungover? Or
Oh, you're hungover.
That's a strange.
Time to wake up.
Oh, that's just my alarm saying that the stew is done, but I'll go get some in a minute.
So yeah, I'm just kind of stumbling over and kind of wishing I was dead.
Then I take him over to where I hid Kan's body,
Okay.
and I basically brush off, you know, like the you know, like the hay, and then I turn to Jester and I'm like, Io disappeared into got sent into another plane by one of the dragons that we were facing off against, and
But you found a nice roast.
that's Kayan. And I kind of punch him in the shoulder, like kind of hard, but you know, and I'm like, that's Kayan, you dipshit.
Why did you cook can?
Does it look like I have fire powers, you dimwit?
I don't know what you're capable of. You do things with your brain.
Didn't you just hear me say dragons?
Why were you playing with dragons? I pretty much made that clear that's a bad thing to do.
Yeah, 'cause I had any choice at the time.
You could have run. Hid? Why were there drag guns?
Well, do you remember because you were there at the beginning of everything, weren't you?
That was
Before you took off?
The only dragon I know about is the one that turned on us in the cave. Ah. God, does he always smell that bad? There's just the one dragon in the cave that said, "Thou shalt not have the sword," and then the fucking vampire took off with it, and everybody started dying, and now...
Well, we got the sword from the vampire dude. So we did that with, like, no problem whatsoever. Used all the power I fucking had. But then, once Kayan had the sword in his hand, about 8 dragons showed up and kind of circled us. And the only thing that saved us was Kayan. He managed to get 4 dragons down before the rest of them fleeing, But then he dropped the sword, and then all the damage he took from the dragon apparently. And I went, did this, and I don't know how to fix it, and I need to fix it, and I don't know where Io is, and you're the only other person around.
I feel touched that you came to find me.
Would have found you before, but had some issues of, like, you know, sticking with my friends.
Looks like that worked out real well for you.
Yeah, this looked like it worked out real well for you, too.
I'm here, you're here, there's rooms upstairs.
And I punched him again. I'm a little bit harder. And I'm like, just shut up. And then I, sorry, it's not a hard time not laughing. Okay, it's still not as bad as the stupid pirate, okay? I'm sorry.
Hey.
No, not that, no.
Oh, you're the
That
pirate?
ain't happening, DM. But, yeah, I'm like, get your mind out of the gutter. Fucking disgusting. Anyways, we need to figure out what to do because, I mean, as much as you and Io had issues, still have to try to get him back to try to figure out what to do. And Kain does not deserve this. And so we need to figure out what to do. And I kind of like sighed and I'm like, I need your help.
That had to hurt.
It did, but I don't underestimate my ability to kick your ass.
Well, in the plus column, he hasn't turned into a pile of dust, so he's not without capability of being saved, if I understand your whole mess.
Yeah, this is a mess. Well, do you have any suggestions? Because, you know, being the only thing alive in a big, charred expanse is not exactly the best feeling.
Free food and lodging, it's not all bad.
I punched him again. Like, this is no time for jokes.
Who's joking? Io's gone. Everybody else is gone. Food and drinks galore. This is the best thing that's happened to us for, what, a month? I mean, yeah, Kayan's gone, but he killed a couple dragons. He'd be happy.
I'm quite sure he wouldn't be happy that he is a charred mess lying in a hay in a barn stable.
Might frown on that.
Yes. Kayan deserves better than this, so we need to do something to try to save him. And as much as you don't want, we still need to figure out a way to get Io back here because nothing is over. This, just because this is a big charred mess doesn't mean things are over.
Well, let's ransack the inn and see what they got here.
No, there's no ransacking of anything.
These people were shady as fuck. They've probably got something in here that can resurrect half the town.
And then I'm like,
And it's in this keg right here, right at the bottom.
okay. if we do look for anything, we're only going to look for anything that is going to help get Io and Kayan back. Only. I kind of like grab the fronts of his shirt and like kind of like only.
You think I'm some sort of mercenary?
What does that have to do with it?
You do think I'm some sort of mercenary?
No, that's no. I'm rolling my eyes at him again and
Where
like
did we go? Why are we
smack.
not on the map?
I
'Cause
kind of
it's-
smack the side of his head at this point. Like, I hope that feels good.
Hungover, not happy.
Okay.
And the only reason I haven't lit your ass up is because I know you could probably take me.
Yes.
Or could she?
She could totally mind twist you out.
Do we not have Tokis?
Have what?
Tokens on the...
Oh, sorry. It's on the map with the.
Because I figured it's the stable that's on the map, isn't it?
Yeah. Do you not see your tokens on the map?
I don't.
Not on the other map, which I just closed because we weren't on that map.
You guys are in the big.
Because we're in the...
We're on the big map with like the city on it. He's talking about the Watsy map.
Oh, you want? I didn't know you guys were going back in the Watsy.
Well, no, because there's stables on the Watsy map.
Oh!
That's where she dumped the body.
I get it. Yeah, sorry. I had you on the big map.
Can you open up that map again for me? Because I don't want to search for it.
It's the one that says what's.
Every time it takes me like forever to look for it. But
KNBQ. Now, before we go, did you try, like, breaking the sword on him, or asking the sword to put him back together, since that seemed to be holding him together before?
well, I put the sword on him, and kind of, I don't know how to. I mean, that's not my thing.
Swords in general, or playing with Kayan dead?
Well, both.
Oh. That's fun information. Did you try stabbing him with it?
I'm not gonna stab his body.
It's not gonna make it any worse.
I don't see any situation where that's going to make things better.
I'm trying to even, like, imagine how to fix this.
Yeah, you and me both.
That was actually out of character, sorry, but I was
Oh.
like, it's probably an accurate statement too.
Yeah.
Let's see what we can do. I want to see if I can give him a jump start.
A what?
Probably
I
not.
can't get any more fried crispy.
So I like walk up to the roast Kayan and oh yeah, and I put the sword back on his chest. No, she's got it. And so I like put my hands on his chest, and I try to like channel as much energy into him as possible to see if it'll like give him a jump start or something.
Like an Eldritch Blast?
No. No, just energy.
That's what I was kind of worried about at first.
Like through the Fey channel thing. He's a little elfy, a little bit.
I'm a little elfy. I'm half elfy.
He's 100% burned to a crispy.
Yeah.
I see
Yeah, we should get vaporized like Boris Chadslaw's character.
Oh shit! What was his name?
That vaporized after using the sword.
You're making jokes about the town that has the really bad water.
Flint.
Clint Winters. That was it.
Oh yeah.
Flint, Michigan.
There we go.
I thought I killed that bastard.
That's what they
Yeah. I still hadn't clicked.
I don't want him talking to me.
Ooh. Ooh. That's a thing that happened.
Don't crank it up. Reruns of ER going on in my head.
Kane gets reanimated as a zombie.
Okay, so I take a potion a cure mod out of my bag of holding, and I hold it up for him like, okay, I'm going to do that again, and you're going to pour this down his throat as we do it. We're going to do something we've never done before.
Okay.
It's called teamwork.
It's true. And I take it from his hand. And I'm like, you're not lying. And I grab it from him. I'm like, I mean, what the hell? And so I kind of get on like I kind of shift, so I'm like I'm on the other side of him.
But maybe with the combination. Maybe with the combination.
Go ahead and roll the cure mod.
What is that like?
He only
2d8
has
plus 5?
200 points of wounds. Might take like 10 cure potions.
We don't know this.
You don't know what supercharging a potion is.
Yeah, I can't. This is good. Yeah, it's. What was that? 2d8.
2d8 plus 5.
Okay, hold on. I gotta put.
This is the amount of damage that I'm gonna take.
Well, you can't get any more dead than you're already on. So.
Oh, I can.
I'm trying to remember.
So Jester channels the energy into him, and Kane's body just feels cold to the touch, super crispy. But he's channeling the energy as Jesse dumps the healing potion into him. You can see the potion moving magically throughout his body, and his body starts like sparkling green as the healing potion flows down his esophagus into his stomach, and you kind of see that sparkle as it's going into his stomach, and the green aura around him as the Fey energy is filling him. And then Jester becomes a little lightheaded and almost feels as if you're going to pass out just due from the channeling of the pure energy, and the link is broke, and Kane goes back to laying there. And in fact, Jester passes out.
And I'm just like, oh.
There we go again.
Now I basically have 2 dead bodies. I kind of like just sit for a moment and just kind of like lean against like the wood of one of the stalls and just kind of like and lean my head back and just with my eyes closed and just thinking.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. I can't do it because I don't know that I've heard it.
Or
Craig can see what it said, so what's the worst that could happen?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, but I have to think of this that no, no more dragons. I pull the sword out and I kind of like look at it for a little bit, kind of like laying it across my lap. And I try to just like examine it and see if I can kind of get something from it.
The sword is razor sharp and it's completely onyx. You can tell that it's made out of a material that you've never seen a weapon fashioned out of, even though you're not like a user of martial weapons. But it feels incredibly light to the touch. The blade is completely onyx. The hilt is onyx, or the grip is onyx as well, but it's got a slight rubber on it, and the cross member is silver. I've linked in the Discord, in the Dungeons and Dragons hashtag, what you see as the symbol on the circular hilt at the end of the grip. And the silver is in white.
Do you have to be like, I have the power and hold it up in the air like He-Man?
So as you hold the sword up in the air, you hear a soft melodic tone coming from the hilt of the weapon. It's like singing on the wind in a storm, and it's very melodical. You can't make out the words because it's in a different language. But it's beautiful to the point where it almost moves Jesse to tears. It's very faint, but even with its faint song, like Jester comes to and wakes up from his unconsciousness, and the song brings you out of that unconscious slumber. And it fills both Jesse and Jester with just some kind of feeling of tranquility / confidence or warmth.
Hey.
I like this.
I almost thought you were going to start playing Enya. Some
Believe it or not, it's actually for this specific weapon, the song, part of the Song of Swords.
okay.
And as Jester wakes up, you kind of instinctually lower the sword, and as you lower it, the singing goes away.
I kind of inch over because I'm like, and I go over to Kane's body, and I put my hand and I kind of grab his hand and put his hand around it, and then I put like the sword, try to, put the sword up in the air and kind of see what if anything happens. I'm like, he was holding this stupid sword. Oh my god.
Bring him back, you beautiful black blade.
Well, that's an even better way to kill Kane a second time. Oh, nothing happening. Okay. Well, that was worth a thought.
It was a pretty song. But I could hear it.
Okay. So, what does this thing actually do?
The sword?
Besides stab things?
Besides what things? What'd you say?
Stab.
Stab. Oh, well,
Stab.
when it was doing stuff for Can, it was, he was just doing these, like, amazing, like, attacks on the dragons, and it protected us, like, they were, like, attacking us, and it completely protected us, and it hit Can pretty hard, and no matter how hard he was being hit, he was still standing. And then after it all happened, he dropped the sword, and it was like everything happened to him. And then there was silence.
And then it made a pretty song.
Yes, just now. That was, and the reason I did that is because it's got this symbol on here, and I kind of showed him that symbol, and I, like, it was pointing the sword up in the air, and I did it as I was explaining, and so I put it up in the air.
So take his hand and do it again. And do I have enough oomph that I can try it again?
Sure.
And we will try. He's got a potion in him. It's charged. You got the sword of singing happiness. It called me back from the dark, so maybe to pull him back from, the long dark. Yeah.
So Jester begins to channel his energy and just passes out.
And again, I'm like, okay, that's not helpful.
I imagine with a resounding thud as Jester's like head hits the hay covered ground.
I then sat and I was just like, all right, all the shit that like we've done before that's been like weird. I'm like, what usually helped when it seemed like there was no answer?
She gonna say it. She gonna say it.
Well, God, I might as well. And I say to myself, oh God, I always feel so stupid when I say it. And I put like the sword up in the air. Well, I grab his hand because I figured maybe contact will help. And I put the sword up in the air, and I kind of like look around. I'm like, there's nobody watching, and I yell cosmic power.
Oh, gee, she said it.
So, as you do this, like, your ring
fuck.
powers up as well. You put the sword into the air and kind of holding Kane's hand, and you scream cosmic power, and your ring powers up, and this white energy just fills Chris's aura. And as the white energy fills her, like, Chris, you feel as if your very essence is on fire. Like, your soul itself has just, like, sprung into a raging inferno.
Well, that sounds fun.
And the white energy from around you and from around this encompasses you, the sword, and then also around Can. And you can feel your life essence just pulling out in all directions. And you can feel this bubbling up energy just coalescing from inside of you out. And as this happens, like, you feel like your skin almost as if it's catching on fire. And as you're standing there holding the sword up and you notice that your skin and your entire body just transforms into this white light. And Jester kind of wakes up from his slumber as he sees this, and you're seeing her, like, just turn into this battery of white energy, and it almost like snaps in the back of Jester's head as well, a realization that this looks very familiar to what happened in the cave.
I was just gonna ask. Okay.
And as this happens, a kind of like ball of black energy appears directly next to Chris, and from that black energy, you see Io just coalesce out of the darkness and come into the light, or the light as in Chris standing next to you guys. And the infusion into Can, like, you hear Can, like, take a huge breath, like like he's coming back to life, as all of the wounds from Can just melt away. You see, like, flesh and almost pounds of water just melting off of him, and it looks as if he's been completely healed. And then with that, the energy that Chris has summoned completely disappears, like it snaps off, kind of like in DBZ when a character powers down suddenly. And Chris's eyes go just completely white as she goes to 1 hit point and passes out.
Jeez.
And that's a good place for us to leave it off for next time on Dungeons and Dragons.
Whew.
With everybody blacked out or disoriented. And probably something coming to answer that call. But hey, at least we're together again.
Yeah.
I thought that was good fun. That was a hell of a lot of fun RP.
So that means that I brought Io back too.
So you reached out and pulled Io from the plane of shadows directly to you, and then you fully healed Sif from negative 200 hit points to full health.
Yay, negative 200.
Now it's your guys' turn to fix me.
I was just about to get to the shadow bar, okay? I was almost there.
Don't drink in spellcraft. I just saw that. It's fucking awesome. All right, I'm getting the whiteboard up. Give me a couple minutes here.
Kanan goes up to like level 20.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's been fun. I'm gonna get us going out on some beautiful music as we're getting the whiteboard and everybody's set up for the next edition of Dungeons and Dragons.